Welcome to the Twomey Stock Market Report. Today is June 7th, 2022, and I'm James Twomey. This is a stock market alert. What we want to do is tighten up all our stops to either bring your stops up to the 10 EMA and 15 EMA, so split your position. What we're going to do is if the 15 EMA kicks out your second half, so be it. We're not going to wait for the inflection point at this point. That's traditionally when the 15 crosses above the 10. ILF, we already hit the first two-thirds, the first third, and our second third is stopped out at the open. We still retain the last third there. We'll wait for the inflection point on that. CPG, ADV, DBC, and Verizon. I would leave our traditional, which a third above the, on CPG, you want to go above the 10 EMA, and then right below or between the 10 and the 15 EMA, and on the second, and then wait for, on the second, and then also we'll come out on that when the inflection point turns. ADV, DBC, and Verizon are our traditional plays that we want to maintain, our traditional stops. ILF, we've already stopped out the first third and second third at the open. XLE, you want to add, that's the energy fund, sector fund, energy service, energy companies. You want to add at 87.5. Natural gas, you want to add at 30.2. And ETFs, you want to take a starter position, a third to a quarter. If you got $1,000, you want to put in a third of that. On the short side of the Qs, PSQ. And let's see what the PSQ is. We haven't got the all buy signal on that. It is a good spot to get in, 13.3, 13.34. And the Qs right now are flattening out, the 10 and the 14 EMA. We haven't had a positive call on that. And like I said, relative strength index is not really, screaming that it's overbought. So at this point in stage, you want to take a little bit of chance with the short. I think that's a good call. The SPY, I would do a quarter position there. And we still have not got our call on that, but I'm looking at, since it's still below our 10 and 15 hasn't crossed, but it's holding above the 50. I want to get a starter position there. If the market turns, we'll be in a position. DOG, same thing. Okay, a quarter position there. As you can tell, the Dow is today. It's down around the 10 and 15 EMA. This hasn't crossed below to give us the all sell signal if you were long, which we're not. But what it's telling us here is that, hey, if we were holding dog, we would be selling at least our first third position there. So that's what diamonds. That's why I'm saying that. CPG, this is our energy fund. Again, it's rallying straight up, so we got to be careful. I moved the third of my stop up to 9.3. I also have buys in here in and around 9.4 if it ever gets there. And the next third is I've got at 9, and then the next third I'll wait. If you want to be, this is one that you want to be able to hold on to these profits, and we can always get back in like we did with the UNG. UNG is a great example. Back here, I was telling you I let it run from quite some time, and then had quite a big drop 2 days in a row. So I sold out, and then I started jumping back in and adding back in. And you could, once the 10 and this is important, 10 and the 15 never crossed down to show a sell signal. So even though that we're taking a lot of pain here at these 3-4 days, the smart move is to stay in that position. So, but since I had such a long profit, I was taking, once it hit to the 10 EMA, I took some profits, and then once it hit the 15, I took some profits, and I started jumping back in once I saw this thing come up in the especially once the 15 started being resistance, and then the stock is taking off a little bit here. So with that said, if you can get in here at 30.1, not a bad deal. And it may pull back a little bit here, but we'll see. I think energy is really getting tired and is topping out a little bit. But the relative strength index, 63, not quite oversold, but it's certainly, overbought, overbought, but it's getting there. So we want to be careful. XLE is the same thing. Had a big run up. This is relative strength index, 69. Very overbought. But this will pull back. If you can get in around 87, jump in. Okay, those are the today's alerts. Let's see, MATX we got in yesterday. What's that doing? It's holding. So good. Amazon we got in yesterday. This has a potential to actually get up to 145. We'll see. It's holding. I've got my stop. I've been giving it plenty of room. I got my stop way down here, but let's wait and see. What was the other one that I was concerned? Oh, ILF. Yeah, that was the one I was concerned about, which prompted me here for the alert. It took a big hit. At the open, I had stops right below the 10 and right below the 15. Both thirds kicked off. So now I'm 2/3 out. A little surprising. This thing with materials and energy, I'm surprised this took a hit. So something's going on there, but we'll watch that last third. SNY is, I think it's holding, which is good. That was the one we're down a few percent, but we're going to hang in there on that one as well. So that's it. Let's see. Oh, I think it's OCRR. Is that the one? ORCC maybe. Owl Rock. This one, on a big day, it had 4,000 shares. The last couple of days, it's been 2,000 shares traded. Low volume. I like to stay away from low volume, but it kicked off here. I jumped in. It's got a 9-point-something% annual dividend. So let's say you buy here and it stays somewhere between 13.7 and let's say, oh my gosh, 12.5, right? So even if you lose a point, you get it's low cost. Let's say you got 500 shares or whatever, or 300 shares, you lose $300, but your position is going to get 10%. So 10% loss. You put it this way: 10% loss on 13.7 if that's where you got in. I just picking a number, right? A 1.3 reduction or is really a 12.2, 12.5 or something like that. So you got room to lose and still get your money back, right? Low volume stocks are just messy because if you want to get out of them, the bid and ask, it becomes a problem. I didn't put this in my recommendation, but this is a good example of how some of these that are defensive in nature, dividend stocks are, then they'll kind of hold on a downturn. XLU was our other defensive play. It's kind of hanging in there. It's above the 9 and the 15. It's pulled back a little bit, but again, when we got in, we've got in that, we're holding on that one. So let's keep all this in mind. Tighten up your stops on. I'm not sure if this is a one-day bad news event, but I want you to be prepared. We can always jump back in. And for now, we're getting some startup positions in the short side. A little ahead of the game, but I want to take advantage of getting in case it slows down. I'm just trying to see PSQ. What's the 120 doing? So it hasn't even given us a buy signal. It's just there on the 120. So I think we're safe to take a third on these, or a quarter. All right. Have a great trading day. Any questions, email her at jim.netsearch@comcast.net, and we'll get them answered for you right away. Thank you.